Hi ladies and gents, mostly gents because about 100% of the viewers here are guys. Today we're gonna rank some IEMs under $250. It's going to be a great one. And talking about great ones, it would be really nice if you can upgrade yourself to be a great one simply by clicking the like and subscribe button right here down below somewhere. So let's start off the list. I think one of the more popular releases in 2023 would be the Shouer X Gizaudio Galileo. So the thing is, I heard this way back in Japan before it was released when I met Timmy in Japan and he let me try these out. I thought it was a very beginner-friendly IEM that will lure you in with its enchanting vocals with good enough technicalities. And what I like about these is the swirly whirly faceplate because honestly, I'm really quite a sucker for those. Now, the thing about the Galileo is that it actually combines two types of technologies, a dynamic driver and a balanced armature all together. You get a really friendly signature that is really quite vocal-centric that is paired with good dynamics. It has this sweet character when it comes to tone that makes it pretty attractive for someone who is new to the hobby. One thing about them though is that I do feel that they can benefit from slightly better levels of detail, but overall they are quite enjoyable to listen to and should be perfectly blind buy safe. And because of that, I think that they are in the good camp. Okay, so the second IEM today that will be on this list is one that is released from a rather big house. This is the Moondrop Lan. So the thing about the Moondrop Lan is that it's pretty similar to the previously released Moondrop Chews, but they do look quite a bit better. I really like the metal injection molding on the chassis. This time around it has an interchangeable 2-pin socket for those of you who like to roll cables, but I'm really not sure why would you want to do it on such a cheapie. In terms of signature, these are lean soundings but rather tight and might not be super friendly unless. So the thing about these is that the bass is light and rather tight. It's not the most enjoyable of DNA to listen to. What I also feel is that the treble is also a little elevated, and as such, you'll have more of a treble forward experience. If you already have the Moondrop Chews, I think you can actually safely look away from these as they are quite similar. I would not say that the Lans are blind buy safe, but if you want me to put them on the tier list, let's see, where are the Lans are here. I would say, definitely go try these out. These are not made for everybody. Many newcomers to the hobby will find them to be very bass-like, to be not very fun to listen to. But there is a subset of people who really enjoy these. Okay, next we are moving on to the Truthear Hola. Now the Truthear Hola, it's a single dynamic driver IEM that with a chassis that is made by Kiwiear, whom specializes in 3D printing. I think that they have basically the chassis is really inoffensive. It's just basically matte black with the face with an Asanoha pattern on the front. Sound-wise, they again are really inoffensive. Sub-bass, it's a little bit more prominent compared to mid-bass. Vocals on the Hola have a neutral thick tonality that I feel can benefit from having a bit more edge to them. Technicalities, they are in line with the price point. This makes it actually a very good newbie earphone that will not poke holes in your wallet. Comparing to other IEMs it competes with, that includes things like the Tangzu Waner, the Holas have actually a really good build quality compared to the cheapy fading plastic that the Waner is made from. So taking into considering all these, I think that the Holas are actually decent. Well, they are not world beaters in any sense. They do sound good, they are built well. If you're not super particular, they are a really good entry-level earphone. And of course, moving along, I just mentioned that the Tangzu Waner just now. So the next IEM I'll be talking about will be this, the Tangzu Waner. Now the thing about the Tangzu Waner is that it also features a single dynamic driver in it. I do like how the Waner sounds. Again, it is neutral warm, which is similar to how the Hola sounds, but I think in terms of sonics, the Waner actually has an edge to them. They have more of an edge because the mid-range separation is actually better on the Waner than the Hola. But when you want to compare build quality, I think the Waner falls short as the plastic used does feel a little cheap. Mine started picking up scratches and dings really easily. I just throw them in my bag as I would. But after a few days, I noticed a few scratches on them already, which I did not experience with the Hola. So depending on how you perceive things, if you feel that build quality is important, then I'd rank this behind the Holas. Oops, wrong one. Then I would rank this behind the Holas, But if you actually prioritize sound quality, then they go in front of the Holas. I think honestly at this price point, both of them are actually equally good. I'm just going to put them slightly behind the Holas because I don't think that they can last as long. But that's not to say that they are bad. They're actually quite good, just less well built, but sound better. You get the idea. And next, I'm going to move on to the recently most hyped IEMs. So these are the Simgot EA500. These are hyped right now for good reason, and honestly the Simgot EA500 is excellent. It comes with two nozzles that changes the tuning somewhat, one being a bit more Harman-esque, while the other being a bit more V-shaped sounding. It features a beautiful metal chassis with a single dynamic driver inside it. But honestly, between the two nozzles, they do make a difference, but I don't think that they are world-changing, so it will still sound like the EA500 no matter what. They basically have a mid-range for its signature with a slightly emphasized upper mid-range. Some people might feel that these are fatiguing, but because of these, I actually really like how vocals sound. It sounds really lively. Bass here is also really well balanced with the mid-range. It is dynamic and exciting sounding on the whole. There is a level of finesse here that is beyond what the Simgot is actually asking for in terms of price. Honestly, really excellent value. These are easily legendary, and honestly, they definitely belong onto the superb category. Now, the next IEM, it's a rather questionable one. I'm not sure why is it actually priced at this price, and it's coming from the legendary house Sennheiser. So we reach for the stars with the Simgot EA500, and right now we're actually diving to the pits with the Sennheiser IE300. So these are the IE300 here. I am just going to put that only for the folds immediately. Now, I am not sure what Sennheiser is trying to do with the IE300s. These are a V-shaped sounding IEM. Bass here is very prominent, but it also comes at the expense of speed. So this is particularly problematic when it actually starts to dabble into the mid-range. So I cannot really say I enjoy this. There is a bit too much bleed into the mid-range. Just generally not very good, if I'm honest. If you really want to get a Sennheiser IEM, now Sennheiser has been in the market for a very long time, and they do know how to tune some really good stuff. So the next IEM here is cheaper than the IE300 by right. And they do sound quite a lot better. And of course, I am mentioning the IE200. Now the IE200s are easily really good. Like, really good. It is more competent than its more expensive sibling. Now these deliver on the bass with ample rumble that has good treble extension as well. The caveat here is that the ear tips provided by Sennheiser is pretty junk. Also, the dual tuning gimmick on the Sennheiser IE200 doesn't really work, as when you wear the IEM, they just kind of default to the neutral warm tuning, because how they do this is changing the length of the nozzle. By pulling out, it's a bit longer, so it actually reduces your bass somewhat. But yeah, honestly, it doesn't really work, because when you put them in your ear, they just kind of just go back to the normal tuning sound thingamajig. And honestly, I won't really bother with it. But apart from those issues, it is technically really good, and this will be placed in the good category. If you do manage to try it, please let me know if you can engage the dual tuning feature on these, because I cannot engage the neutral tuning on this IEM most of the time. And of course, moving next would be the Aful Performer 5. So the Aful Performer 5 was really popular towards the end of last year. One dynamic driver plus 4 balanced armatures. I found them to be really neutral to listen to, with slightly elevated bass, just slightly. Now they are not tonally thick, but that makes them sprightly in performance. I would not say that they are warm. These are suitable for people who prioritizes speed over a warm tone. The level of details on these are also pretty competent. I think many would find these to be really good, but isn't a signature that is most common, and thus I would actually rank them. Honestly, they're good. They're good. I'll put them in front of the Sennheiser over here. Yeah, they are pretty good. Next would be the Tangzu Zetian Wu. Now this is the first planar IEM on the list. When it was released, there are plenty of hype for those of you looking for planar IEM. I found them to be relatively quite V-shaped sounding with lots of bass energy. I do feel that the bass is not as textured as it could be, and can be a little bit one-dimensional because you don't really get that much texture on bass anyways. Mid-range here is slightly recessed, treble is pleasing but can be a little bit metallic sounding. I think that there are better IEMs these days that does what the Zetian Wu does, but do it quite a bit better. Also, I'll be covering the Heyday in this list also, that are Those are the replacement for the Zetian Wu, and between the both of them, I think you should just definitely get the Heyday. They are better. But anyways, with that said, I think the Zetian Wu is definitely decent. They go here. I just wish for the bass to be a bit better anyways. Now next, if you want a better bass head IEM, check out the 7Hz Legato. Now the thing about bass head IEMs is that it is very easy for them to sound bad because you have this large quantities of bass. Most of the time they are relatively slow to give you that resonance. It's really going to mess up the mid-range. This is where the Legato does really well. It has enough speed for you to feel the rumble and does not really affect the mid-range too much. If you are going to compare the bass speed on the Legato with one of those from the Diffuse Feel signature, naturally the Legato will be slower, but you know, that is expected. Looking at its own genre, I really enjoy the head rattling bass that is coupled with a clean mid-range. The Legato is one that I will pick if I would, you know, just really want to have fun. Just have fun. Don't be so analytical when you're listening. So I think it's honestly superb to blend the nice technicalities and bass rumble really well. And next will be the Truthear Hexa. Now I do think that the Hexa, it's actually quite classy looking, deviating from the boring custom universal look that has been done to death. At its asking price, the Hexa's tuning is an anomaly. There are very few neutral IEMs in this price range, as it tends to be a bit more of a mature signature for people who have been in the hobby for a long time. I just find the Hexa to be not as dynamic as I'd like and can benefit from a bit more treble energy to give it a bit more overall definition to the signature. I don't think that these will be mass appealing. As such, I'd say these are a pair that has quite specific use. Where do they stand? They are definitely decent, better than Hola's. Should they go to good? I think that they're slightly better than Galileo, fine. So they'll go to good because I do think that they're better than Galileo's. Okay, moving on, next. SeeAudio Bravery. So when these dropped, everybody was saying like, oh my goodness, these are like the QDC Anole VX beaters. Honestly, I don't think so. The Anole VX is really leagues above the SeeAudio Bravery in terms of resolution and detail. They can't really be compared. These are probably like the cheap clone that isn't as good, but kind of says that it's kind of like the Anole VX, but no. Also, apart from that, I think it has a bit more bass that kind of muds up the mid-range a bit, making it not as clear as I'd like. But for what it is and at its asking price, I guess they are okay. But if you're looking for something like that, do consider the Dunu SA6. So for the SeeAudio Bravery, where do they go? I think they go on the lower end of the decent pile. They are not terrible. If you have them, don't feel bad about them. They are quite good. It's just that I think that there are better IEMs out there these days. Next would be the OG popular hype beast from 2 years ago. These are the Moondrop Arias. I can see why people like these. It has a very lovely warm tone that is just so agreeable. But in terms of build quality, these can be a little bit problematic. First, the cable has a venereal disease of being extremely tangly. It is also reported by other users that the paint job on this is not so ace, and some people experience the paint flaking off. I must add that my pair still looks kind of nice, but that's probably because I don't use them too much. In today's market, I think that the Arias are kind of decent. If you have a younger sibling or friend that you don't hate, you can consider giving them your old pair. So for the Arias, are they good or not? They are decent. They are really kind of decent. I think that they will suit most people, and generally you won't really hate on them other than the tangly cable, which is ass. But yeah. While still talking about Moondrop, we have the Moondrop Kato. Now these honestly will sit in the same bracket as the Arias because they are actually kind of similar but more expensive. In terms of tone, they are also a little bit brighter. I found them technically similar to its cheaper brother, but with a less agreeable tuning. Despite it being considerably more expensive. I do think that they look really nice though, but pity on the sound is a bit bright, and it's a bit bright sounding and not in a good way. But the build quality actually kind of makes up for it, so I think it goes here. It's not bad, it's decent, really. And next, we're going to talk about the next IEM, the Tangzu Zetian Wu Heyday X HBB. So the Heyday variant of the Zetian Wu features more of a controlled bass response compared to the OG, which I feel is a step in the right direction. I do feel that it is still quite thick sounding and would have preferred more separation in the mid-range, but I know that this is just preference and there are people who absolutely adore this type of signature. But technically, I feel that it is a bit behind another planar magnetic IEM on the list. The thing about the Heyday is that they improved it substantially with the metal chassis. It is much better than the sweatshop produced plastic that was used on the original Zetian Wu. Overall, it is pretty smooth sounding, but I do feel that mid-range separation and definition can be a bit better. So are they good? That is the question. I would say yes. I would say yes. They are good. Much better than the original. Next, we have like 3 more IEMs left. I think all these 3 are really good IEMs, but we'll rank them. So next is the Final A5000. Now the A5000 is the latest in the Final A series and it features a balanced signature that will suit most genres of music. I enjoyed the bass as it's impactful with good speed with lovely details to follow as well. Mid-range here is well balanced with just a slight bit more upper mids to give good shape to vocals paired with airiness and articulate treble. I really like the cable that is on the A5000 in honesty, basically making the ergonomic really great. It is very easy to handle, it's very pliable, you can just basically do whatever you want with it, and honestly details on these are fantastic. They are really good honestly for the price. Where would they go? I would say superb. I really do enjoy those. And next, the Kiwiear's Orchestra lights. Now the Orchestra lights are rather cool. It has 8 balanced armatures, which isn't very commonly seen these days as many companies would just probably use a hybrid design of a single dynamic driver handling bass while balanced armatures handling the mid-range and highs. But because of these, it has a pure BA tonality, which is a throwback to the days where multi-BA is the norm and therefore providing such a tone as well. It is a rather relaxed listen with dynamics being a little on the low side compared to others in the market, but for what it is, it basically gives you a very relaxing listening experience. I wouldn't use it for critical listening, but if you just want some background music that is quite good, I would say that the Kiwiear's Orchestra Light is definitely one to consider. So it kind of goes here, right? And lastly, we have the Timeless AE, which is over here. Okay, to be fair, the Timeless AE costs $259. They are slightly above the $250 that I set up for this list, but hey. These are pretty much like the original Timeless, a planar magnetic IEM. Honestly, it looks really funky with the huge disc on the outside, but for some strange reason, they managed to fit in my ears. Yeah, so looks can be deceiving. Tonally, I like how they render bass with quite good versatile slam that is coupled with good technicalities. Separation on these is actually also really good and you can really peel apart the layers of music when you want to critically listen. Personally, between these and the Heyday, I would prefer it for its more technical and engaging sound. So where do these go? Definitely above the Heyday lah. So yeah, I do like these. I think they definitely would be somewhere. Do I prefer them over the Aful 5? I do actually, you know. Good. Is it better than Legato? Not really, but Legato is really fun. So yeah. So with that said, thank you guys for joining me in today's tier list thingamajigs. These are some of my favorite IEMs below $250, except for the Timeless AE. That is a bit more, but you know, it's close enough. And with that said, I hope you find this list interesting. Of course, this is my list, so my impressions are subjective. If you want to challenge this list, you can leave comments down below by saying, hey dude, no, I prefer this, I am here, that kind of thing. You can just do that. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching the Super Audio Show. I hope you have a good time. And yeah, hope to see you guys soon.